You guys, before we get into today's video, I do want to let you guys know that this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please remember to be kind to everybody everywhere in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere. Good morning, my lovelies, my beauties, my friends. My name is Kristina and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really hope that you will subscribe, stick around, take a chance in hearing some things that I have to say. And if you are a returning subscriber, y'all already know, y'all are my babies. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. I hope everybody is feeling good. We are moving on to Christmas. I've got my Christmas colored sweater on and I'm excited, but I've already got my Christmas tree and decorations up. Do y'all have y'all stuff up yet? So in today's video, we are going to be talking about a case that it's a few years old and it's not our typical true crime case. This is the case of Natalia Grace Barnett. Now this stirred up so much chatter a few years ago. I mean, Natalia was on Dr. Phil and a lot of people were talking about it, and I didn't feel super comfortable talking about it back then because there wasn't a whole lot of concrete information out there. But court cases seem to be done and people have settled on their own opinions. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell y'all the whole entire story, the best of my ability, using public information that's already out there. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to give you guys my opinion on what I think is true and what's not true and what I think happened at the end. So make sure you stay to the end. Other than that, let's just start at the beginning. Natalia Grace Barnett was born in the Ukraine and given up for adoption. Her adopted history from the Ukraine is unclear, but it has been said that she spent time in a group home and lived with over 30 different foster families. Now in 2008, Natalia came to the US and at this time she was allegedly 5 years old and she was adopted by a family, but she was not there very long before she was brought back to the adoption agency, which this is not something that typically happens, but things are really weird in this case. Now that's when Kristine and Michael Barnett say that they received a cold call from an adoption agency in Florida. Kristine always wanted a big family, and she and her husband Michael had biological children, including their son Jacob, who is an autistic child prodigy, but they had hoped to expand their family through adoption and was looking forward to adopting a girl. Now they had already connected with a girl in Haiti and was planning on bringing her back to the US and completing their family. But this was in 2010 when that devastating earthquake hit Haiti and it just got so messy and the Barnetts were not able to adopt. And that is just so sad because you think about this girl that is thinking she's coming to America. I'm sure all the people there were boosting her head up, the land of the free, and they had been contacting her and talking to her, and then this earthquake hit, and then for whatever reason, it was not able to go through. So when this Florida adoption agency called them, which is not typically something that happens. You know what I mean? You have people coming up and knocking on your door trying to sell cleaning products or, different things, solar systems for your roof or gutters for your house. But you don't typically have people calling you hey. Although they thought it was weird, they kind of thought maybe this is fate. So in an instant, they hopped on a plane, flew down to Florida to meet this girl. Now, if this family had ignored the red flags at first, there was more red flags to come. Michael Barnett would say in an interview when he got there to meet Natalia, it was kind of weird because she came up to him saying, "Mommy, Daddy, Mommy, Daddy." And she had just been separated from her other family that she called Mommy and Daddy. He said 5 minutes before. I'm sure it wasn't literally 5 minutes. It was probably a little bit of time, but still, if you have a 5-year-old girl that's taken from her family that she's calling Mommy and Daddy, and then the new people come in the door and they're Mommy, Daddy. So they thought it was strange, but still kind of thinking it could be fate, right? Now, Michael would also go on to say that the adoption agency did not provide much information about Natalia other than her name and her age, which they said at the time she was 6 years old. This is when the Barnetts were told about Natalia's medical history, but they were only provided with records from one doctor's visit. They learned that she had a rare form of dwarfism and scoliosis. But having worked with their son Jake and running a children's daycare, Kristine felt that they were up to taking care of Natalia. I cannot pronounce the name of this rare form of dwarfism, so I'm going to put the name of it right here because I do not want to be disrespectful. But nevertheless, this rare form of dwarfism, from the way I understand it, is a stunt in the growth of the bones. Therefore, Natalia would always be very small or smaller than other humans that don't have this rare disorder. Now, according to the Barnetts, seeing Natalia, who had been given up by her previous family, they felt bad. They had 24 hours to make a decision, so they decided that they were going to take her home, love her, and raise her as their own. However, the Barnetts said when they got back to the place that they were staying, it was not even 24 hours later before they were like, something weird is going on here. Michael Barnett said that his wife, Kristine, was in the bathroom giving Natalia a bath for the first time when she screamed. She screamed for him to come to the bathroom, and he came rushing in.
The alert started before we even got home. That very first night, when Kristine was giving our new daughter a bath, she shouted to me, "Michael," and it wasn't just a shout. It was one of those tones of voice where you knew something was very wrong. I came rushing into the bathroom, and I found Kristine white as a ghost. She was truly shaken. I had no idea why. And I said, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And Kristine simply said, "Look." And I looked down, and Natalia, at age 6, had full pubic hair. And she and I were absolutely stunned, and now we're very concerned and very worried. Is Natalia 6? Is she older? We start using Google, and we start using the internet to figure out maybe how old this new adopted daughter is. That was day 1 before we even got home.
Now, the Barnetts said something else strange was happening with little Natalia, and this one makes me feel a bit uncomfortable to talk about, so I'm going to kind of rush through it. It is said that Kristine Barnett noticed that Natalia had red blood in her underwear, and she said it was a period. And Natalia would tell Dr. Phil in an interview that Kristine gave her a tampon and had her put it in and told her it was her period. There's a bunch of different medical reasons or things that could have happened. If this was a little girl, I don't think that would have been my first thought. There's a lot of other things that I would have been concerned about other than that. But nevertheless, she was sure that it was her period and that she was hiding it from the Barnetts, which at this point, the Barnetts just feel like, hold up, something strange is going on with this little girl. Like, it's all starting to feel weird with them, right? Like, they get this cold call from the adoption agency. Hey, got the perfect little girl for you. They fly down there and they're like, hey, you got 24 hours or she's off to the next person. They get her back to where they're staying at before they fly home. She's got the full area down here of hair, then the blood. They're starting to connect all these dots and they're thinking, this little girl may not be a little girl. Something else is going on here. She began to notice that it seemed like little Natalia did not like to play with toys that were appropriate for her supposed age. She also didn't like to play with other kids at her age. She preferred playing with older kids. Her English speech seemed to be very well developed, and she could not hardly speak any Ukrainian. And Kristine thought this was suspicious. And then Kristine said one time while she was working at her daycare, she said little Natalia came up to her and said, "Gosh, these kids are exhausting. I don't know how you do it." And I mean, that made the bells go off like do 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 do. Like, what little 6 or 7-year-old talks like that? Well, maybe if a 6 or 7-year-old hears adults say that, they'll repeat it, but I don't know. Now, something that I think is strange that the Barnetts did, they brought somebody in that was a friend that spoke the Ukrainian language. Now, when they did, they said that Natalia got really upset about it. She ran to the room. She could not understand anything that the lady was saying, and that she hid and sulked and would not speak to them for days. They felt like this was basically like her getting caught, that she was not really from Ukraine. But I mean, I just don't get that. A large portion of people in Ukraine speak Russian anyways. So there is so many different things that could make sense for that. But nevertheless, it still doesn't explain all the other things that was going on. And then the Barnetts said that Natalia began to get violent with other kids and with them. And this is when they were like, whoa, we got to pump the brakes here. Like, she's scaring me. The Barnetts said that she threatened to kill members of the family by saying that she was going to stab them in their sleep. She supposedly even poured bleach in Kristine's coffee one time, which Natalia denies. However, Kristine Barnett said that she did do it. Kristine would also go on to say that she would make statements and draw pictures saying that she wanted to kill family members, roll them up in a blanket, and then put them in the backyard. She was standing over people in the middle of the night, and you just couldn't go to sleep. We had to hide all the sharp objects. And then, allegedly, Natalia attacked a baby and would not go to sleep, said that she was hearing voices and all of these other things that was going on, according to the Barnetts. So you can imagine how scared that they were if all of this stuff was going on, because they brought this little girl into their house. Have you guys seen the scary movie Orphan? It's this movie right here. I actually have not watched it, but allegedly it's very similar to the story that the Barnetts are telling. They brought this little girl in. Kristine has a whole entire daycare, and now she's saying that this little girl is attacking babies, so it was a mess. They even said that she was jumping out of moving cars and smearing blood on mirrors. Like, call 911. Like, we seriously need some help at this point. And because of all this, the Barnetts decided to have medical tests done on Natalia. Now get this. One of the doctors allegedly said that Natalia confessed to him that she was really 18 years old and that she was having fun terrorizing the family. Oh my goodness. Now, this has never been confirmed by the doctor because of patient confidentiality, but that's what was said. Then the tests that were performed on Natalia suggest that she was at least 14 years old and possibly much older, specifically her bone density test. Again, this hasn't been officially confirmed, and it's actually been rumored that the Barnett family had 2 separate bone density tests performed. Supposedly, the first one confirmed that she was only 8 years old at the time, and the test was done in 2010, which would still make her 2 years older than the adoption agency said Natalia was. But it's also rumored that the second bone density test, which was performed in 2012, confirmed that Natalia was 11 and not 14, like the Barnetts say. And then in 2012, the Barnetts decided to take action. They managed to change Natalia's birth date to 1989, which made her 22 years old by the Marion County Superior Court.
Fact is, Natalia, not once, not twice, but 3 times in American court, in 2012, 2013, and 2017, has been adjudicated and ruled to be a fully grown adult. The last time in 2017, when we were in court, Natalia was represented by 2 attorneys. They accepted the decision. They stated that the court had the authority to rule on such things, and they never challenged the decision. This has been legally an adult for 7 years.
The Barnetts would say that the reason why they had this legally changed was so she could get the psychiatric help that she needed, because she couldn't get that type of help if she was under 18, but that she was clearly over 18. Now, this is when things get even weirder. Michael Barnett said that they ended up renting Natalia an apartment down the road from them.
When the legal courts changed her age from 8 to 22, she then got her own apartment nearby where we lived, about 5 minutes away. She lived there for a year on her own while we lived by her. We visited her about twice a week. We hired a traveling nurse. Here in the States, we would call her a home health aide. And she was there to make sure Natalia was able to acclimate to the new surroundings, make sure she was capable of living on her own, in which she was. She was going to the grocery store, she was hanging up things in her apartment, she was capable of living on her own. When she was discharged from hospital the final time in 2012, she had stated in her discharge papers she did not wish to have contact with us at all anymore. Even though she had said that, for the next year, we made sure that she was able to live properly on her own and checked on her.
Now, at the time, she was allegedly 8 9 years old, but she was living on her own and finding a way to get to the grocery store. Now, I watched an interview of her on Dr. Phil, and she made it seem like she didn't know how to grocery shop and she didn't really have any money for groceries. But Michael Barnett said she got food stamps and everything, and they were paying for the apartment. So somebody's telling the truth and somebody is lying, but nevertheless, she was living in this apartment by herself. Now, in 2013, the Barnetts decided that they were going to move to Canada because of their oldest son, Jake.
After a year of living on our own, that's when my son got an offer to attend university in Canada. He was at the time 14 years old, going on 15. There was no way he was going to be able to do that on his own. So my family, we literally sold or gave away every single possession we had except for our clothing and our cars. And we moved to Canada to support Jake's education.
Now, their oldest son, Jake, who is truly a genius. I've watched plenty of videos on this kid, and some of the videos that I watched of Jake showed that at 13 years old, he was a sophomore in college. Amazing. And he got this opportunity to be in this program in Canada. And so the Barnetts said, no, we're gonna all move with our son. And so they set Natalia up allegedly in a different apartment and said that they would pay and help from afar, and they moved to Canada. The Barnetts said that they only cut Natalia off when they got a letter stating that Natalia had changed the beneficiary of her insurance to a name she didn't recognize and assumed that she was scamming another family. Kristine said that she tried to call Natalia about it, but could not get a hold of her. Now, in 2014, Natalia was evicted from that apartment, and then she went to go move in with this other family. And if you guys watched the Dr. Phil episode, I'm assuming that it's this family. Now, this is such a strange turn of events because this lady that was in this interview said that she had, I can't remember, it's 4 or 5 different children, her and her husband, that was living like a couple houses down from where Natalia was. She said that she saw Natalia out one day and she asked Natalia how old she was, and Natalia told her 22. This woman says she looked at Natalia and knew she wasn't 22. She looked like she was like 8 or 9, which of course she looked like that, but she said that she mentally did not seem 22 years old. This is where I'm having an issue. And I know that I said I'd wait to the end for my opinions, and I'm going to wait until I tell y'all exactly what I think, but how in the world could the Barnetts allow her to live on her own for well over a year, 2 years, however long it actually ended up being? She was getting her own groceries. She was cooking her own food. She didn't burn her house down, She didn't put nothing, metal in the microwave. I mean, I've got an 11-year-old that is smart as can be, and I'm not leaving him home by himself, much less letting him live on his own. This little girl who was allegedly 8 years old survived on her own for this amount of time. And then this stranger walks down, meets her, and says instantly she knew that she was 8 years old. Like, something ain't adding up here. Now, sadly, in 2014, Michael and Kristine would divorce. They would later go on to say that the pressure and the stress of everything that had gone on with Natalia was too much for their marriage. It put too much on them, and they just couldn't be together anymore, so they divorced, which is sad, but also understandable. I mean, this was a lot. However, Natalia's new family, Antoine and Cynthia Manns, petitioned to become Natalia's legal guardian in March of 2016. But this would require restoring Natalia's original birth date to 2003, which of course the Barnetts filed an objection to. Because if she was born in 2003, that would mean the Barnetts left an 8-year-old home alone in an apartment for a year or 2. So they objected to it. But then on September 11th of 2019, the Barnetts were charged with neglect for abandoning a child, and they had to go turn themselves in and get mugshots, fingerprinted in a dirty jail, and all of that junk. Now, they were immediately bonded out and lawyered up, of course, but this just made it so much wilder because now they're arrested for leaving this little girl by herself. Now, at this point, the Barnetts continued to say that Natalia was not a little girl. She was a fully grown woman who was scamming people and now scamming this new family, and that a doctor that they had took her to had already said that she was a psychopath, and I forgot to mention that. They took her to a doctor, and allegedly the doctor told them, listen, this is a grown behind woman, And this woman is a psychopath in a little person's body, and she's dangerous. So they're getting out of jail, and they're sticking to their story at this point, that she was a grown woman and she was dangerous. Now, Natalia's side of the story. Natalia says that she was just a child when her adopted family abandoned her, and says that she has the proof. The Daily Mail TV found a woman claiming to be Natalia's birth mother from Ukraine in October of 2019. The woman told Daily Mail TV that Natalia really is a child and that she was forced to give up her daughter after birth in 2003. This mother said that the doctors told her, "Leave the baby, do not ruin your life." And so she did. However, the mom says now my baby girl is living in America with adoptive parents that want to ditch her and don't want to take care of her. The Daily Mail TV also said that their reporters saw a document from an orphanage where Natalia was supposedly taken in that suggests that she was indeed a baby in 2003. However, reporters were not permitted to take the photos of that document. Natalia and her new family members, the Manns, went on that Dr. Phil show that I was telling you guys about. And that's where Natalia went public and said that the Barnetts' version of the story of what happened with her was just not true at all. And then this is when Kristine started to speak out publicly as well. However, a judge filed a gag order for both parties, and now none of them are allowed to speak out about this case. Over the past few years, their case has slowly worked their way through the legal system. As of October of 2022, Michael was found not guilty, which I want to know so bad what happened in court, because they had a jury trial, and from what I read, the jury deliberated for 2 hours before they said he was not guilty. Okay, something happened, whether they blamed it on the doctors or, the courts changing the birth date, or if they know more information than what we know, because there's a gag order, so that, we don't know a lot of stuff, but he was found not guilty. Now, as of me filming this, Kristine still has to go, but I mean, I'm sure, or assuming, that she's going to be found not guilty as well, which makes it even crazier. Like, what is the truth? Okay, so let me tell you guys what I think. I don't know. I know you guys are so upset. I have friends that are like, this was an adult, okay? My husband, just as sweetly and kindly and as loving as he can, thinks she's lying too. My other friend thinks that she was not the age that she said she was, but she was not a grown adult. She wasn't old enough to be left at home alone. I want to say what I think out of, which way I teeter the most, but if I'm wrong, I don't want to hurt this person, although I could not find Natalia anywhere online. So I'm assuming that she's staying off of the internet, but I'm just going to say this. I think things are fishy, okay? I think things are fishy. For her to be able to live on her own that long, there's no 8-year-old in the world that would have been able to live a year or two, feed themselves, cook, clean up after themselves, and all of that for that long. Do you mean to tell me she went up there to the food stamp office? Have any of y'all had to go to the food stamp office? It is a freaking headache. They want everything besides your firstborn child, honey. They're going to talk to you. There's a lot that goes into you getting food stamps. Typically, you're going to go through the whole entire ringer and they're going to send you $10 a month. It is a lot. And they gave her food stamps as an adult. I don't know. It just seems weird, because an 8-year-old mentally is totally different than an adult mentally, no matter what size they are. I think one of the reasons why my husband thinks Natalia could be an adult is because of videos like this right here. Now look at this.
Только без удара.
Без удара.
Абдул, no, hafta sonu. Bakıyorum. Da balık var. Boltar var.
These adults could, to some people, look like children, right? But they are mentally adults. Now, what if they came up to you in the store, putting their arms saying, "Mama, mama"? You would maybe think that they were little kids. I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing because I don't want to put it out there if she's telling the truth. I don't know. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? I think the Barnetts definitely made some mistakes and some bad choices. no matter what happened. But then again, how do you know all the answers? Nobody prepares you for this. And then when I put myself in their shoes, I also think like they had to really believe whatever they saw from Natalia, that she was an adult, to have the nerve to go down to the court system and have her birth date changed, to get her an apartment versus just going back and taking her to the adoption agency and saying, I can't do this. Like, you're going to have to take her back, putting her back in foster care. Like, she had to have, I don't know, you guys, something weird's going on. There's some pieces that are missing that we can't see. What do you think? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Other than that, I love you guys. Thank you guys for being here and watching this video with me. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Love you guys. Bye.